We all grow up as young girls within our homes that you would step on granny's back because it's aching, because she's coming from harvesting the mahangu or whatever, or dad or uncle coming the fiti saw from hard labor. And as a young girl in the house, that's what you do. You were told, go boil the kettle, water, put sea salt in, they'll soak their feet, and you sit there and what is a massage?
Yep.
And I thought to myself, hang on, we all do this naturally. Why don't we take that skill it's natural to all of us? It's not rocket science. Let's put the steps in and then commercialize that. Because I've seen out there what exactly the same girls are doing. But because they are under guidelines and an industry that understand, I think it's perfect. So that is how it started.
Sometimes you just want to relax and rest, but you don't know where to go. Yet at the same time, you want an African authentic feeling. Why not come to Nomad Wellness Homestead right here in Klein Windhoek? Today we'll be joined by Marianne Akwenye, the founder of the homestead, Namibia's first female black pilot. That's inspiring, right? You want to hear her story, but you need to stay tuned. That's the only way you will hear it. I'm your host, Sich, and this is Africa Speaks. Today we're joined by Marianne Akwenye, who is an entrepreneur, the owner, the founder of Nomad Wellness Homestead. Good afternoon. How are you, Marianne?
I'm good, Sage. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us this honor to interview you.
You're most welcome.
All right, starting off on a personal note, that's how I like to start. Just tell us a bit about yourself, your childhood. Who is Marianne?
Oh man, I think little Marianne was very daring. She was a go-getter, fearless, and that comes from growing up with 5 brothers. So I had to find my voice and my way around. I think that really shaped my character. And growing up, I had a normal childhood. The best that I thought was there. I didn't know that we were lacking anything, because it was all about community, go out and play with everybody in the neighborhood, until I finished school.
Yeah.
And then I went on to study aviation, which made me the first black female pilot in Namibia.
Yes.
And that's really where I started exploring the world and seeing things differently. And it's a full circle that I'm now here doing what I'm doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Going back to you being Namibia's first female black pilot, was it ever an issue to people in the industry, knowing only males, then we have this woman who has now joined the industry?
I think with anything pioneering, you have your challenges, because you have to change the status quo. People are used to what they're used to. So any change would be challenged. It just depends on the level of that challenge. So it did come with its own stumbling blocks. It did come with its own, being undermined based on just purely your gender and your skin color. And I always wondered, do these people really think that you'll just be put in a cockpit to say go, just because whatever their thinking was. So yeah, and that's with anything. It's not just in what I was doing, but it really literally is in any industry, in any sphere. If you are breaking down any boundaries, people are going to challenge you.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, coming to why we're here today, Nomad Wellness Homestead. When did you start it, and what inspired the idea to start a wellness center, if I should call it that?
Yeah, I think it really started again back into my childhood. I had an aunt who was a herbalist, and I was so intrigued by her. I followed her everywhere. We would wake up at the dawn of the morning, go out in the fields, and we would harvest wild herbs, aloes, and she'll come home and make little potions. So as a kid, I was really, really drawn to that. Yet there was this sort of pushback from her immediate community I think it's not understanding what it is that she was doing. So as a kid, I internalized that to say, oh, this is not safe, whatever she's doing, and made a conscious decision not to go within that. And purely lack of knowledge, because I didn't have, although she was an example, but I didn't have an example in a commercial sphere. So when I went into the aviation world, because I was naturally drawn to this wellness world, I would go around to different resorts and think that was my thing. And sitting in these international organizations and seeing how they operate, and seeing a little aloe serum in a pristine, nice packaging, you know, that made the connection, like, oh, this is what she was doing, but because it was in a recycled jam can bottle, people didn't take it seriously. So those dots were starting to align in my mind to make sense of it. And of course there it was known as it's either organic or it's a herbalist. So all of these things started opening up to me in that sense. That made sense. And then fast forward, I came home, my father passed away, and coming home, my immediate cousins and family members, the young women, you know, that I just left 3-4 years ago, they were sitting there with 3-4 children, no hope, no prospects. And I just thought to myself that I'm no different to you. I was being treated as the special one, I was being, you know, and I thought to myself, this can't be. What is the one thing that I could do, that I wish that I could open their eyes to just let them in to see what I've seen out there. And I thought, but we all grow up as young girls within our homes, that you would step on granny's back because it's aching, because she's coming from harvesting the mahangu or whatever, or, you know, dad or uncle coming, the feet is sore from hard labor. And as a young girl in the house, that's what you do. You were told, go boil the kettle, water, put sea salt in, they'll soak their feet, and you sit there and you, what is a massage?
Yep.
And I thought to myself, hang on, we all do this naturally. Why don't we take that skill that it's natural to all of us? It's not rocket science. Let's put the steps in and then commercialize that, because I've seen out there what exactly the same girls are doing, but because they are under guidelines and an industry that understand, I think it's perfect. So that is how it started.
And when did it start?
And it started in exactly 2008.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my first attempt, 2008, but I haven't looked back.
At the time it was called African Nomad Spa, right?
No, at the time it was called Afri Serenity.
Okay.
Way back, it was called Afri Serenity. And then I opened another place called Sublime. And then this, where we are at the same facility, was then called Nomad African Spa. And now the last change, hopefully, it's called Nomad, the Wellness Homestead.
All right. So why change it to Wellness Homestead?
Well, firstly, I wanted to take away the connotation of the spa name, because it's what is known in the industry as a spa does not translate to the aspects of treatments that we offer here. It is a type of spa, but overall it's a wellness place. So that is why we changed, because people would come and they would want specific beauty treatment, because wellness is a vast sort of spectrum. So they would come and say, oh, can we have tips for our nails, or can we do lashes or things like that? And that is an aspect that we don't specialize in. We don't do. So either they will be disappointed and think, what kind of a spa is that? So I just try to make it easier for the consumer to take that away and really focus on our core, which is well-being. Yeah.
All right. So here you use your own products, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the products that you offer, or like that you sell?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we use from our own blends of oils, the massage oil, which is partly we source, we try and source. So the whole concept of Nomad is to look at indigenously what kind of treatments are done within our
communities
within our homes that is indigenous, that is sort of passed down from great grandmother, without the influence of the West. Because the belief is that if we say humanity started in Africa, there's no ways that the aspect of wellness does not exist within us. So within Nomad, we try and then see in the indigenous tribes, how do they heal an ailment? How do they just relax, distress, and things like that? And we take those concepts, we bring them here and offer it to you in a modern setting that is not rudimentary. So that is what we try and do. So for instance, we in our body muds and scrubs, we would use things like the Himba ochre. If you look at the Himba tribe, they use the ochre, they mix it with animal fat, and they apply it. Now it is the testing that has been done, and that's there, is that the ochre has such a high SPF rate, sun protection. And you can detect, if you see the Himba women, the ones that are all over up there in the age, they don't have wrinkles or anything like that. They have flawless skin. So in its rudimentary, there is some truth in it. And I think my passion lies to find that truth and bring it to the world. Come and experience it. You don't have to go search for a Himba homestead somewhere and sit with them, or so we would use the ochre and we would put it with a body butter that is, it has a pleasant smell, it is purified and all of those things. So that is one example. We've also now come up with our own facial range, which is made with mahangu.
Oh.
That is exciting for us. Mahangu is a normal millet that is eaten by the Ojibwambo tribe up north from childhood. It's a staple. It sustained this tribe, and it's a type of superfood, and it grows naturally. And again, if you look at the evidence if you go deep down in the homesteads and you find that village where it's not really influenced, you find that child who's grown up very basic and their staple is mahangu. And you look at their skin, and their hair, you would be amazed. It's flawless, it's healthy. And so we looked at that, but what really made the connection for me was when I did my formulation course in Japan. And there we had to look at, because they use a seed, grains in beauty, because they were also colonized. And the grain of choice for them is rice. Rice is a grain. So, and we know now with things like Korean beauty, where rice is the thing, makeup and things like, cosmetics. So I looked at that and we investigated in that. I said, what is our grain in Namibia? Oh, our grain is mahangu. And I said, okay, let's test it, off the whim. And that's how it started. And a lot of these things for me is just going against the grain and say, why follow what everybody is doing? Let's see what's there. Of course, it's time consuming. It costs a lot of money. And it's a path that is not so easy, because it's just easy to go take a product that's already existing. Let's go with it. And that's how it started. And we went through the testing phase, and now it's approved, and we're going to launch by September. We'll have our own mahangu range for the skin, which is so exciting.
Very
and it's nowhere else in the world.
But right here. Oh, that is so great.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Working in here, we saw that there are visually impaired women that are working here. Was that always part of your plan to have visually impaired women, or how did they end up being part of the home?
It's now a very big part of who we are, but it's not how it started. Like most of these things, I think it's by divine guidance. I always say I'm not that brilliant to come up with these amazing things, but it's little nuggets that gets put on me, and I don't ignore it. I follow it. If there's a hunch, I follow it. So what happened with the visually impaired program, I stepped into, so when we started training and giving skills to undervalued women in our community, that's how we turn them. It's women that are out of the schooling system for whatever reason. And with a woman, if you're out of school because of pregnancy, it takes you at least minimum 3 years to get back into the system. And by that time, you're already over age, you can't go back with your grade. So the system is not geared for the girl child per se. That's the woman we were targeting to say, okay, they might not end up in a beauty space, but this is a back door that gives them a skill and that can put them back on the path to whatever it is that they wanted. And I walked into one of these training sessions. In that moment, the lecturer was saying to the ladies that they need to close their eyes and be in tune with the body. Because if you have your eyes open, you're looking at the body and say, oh, she's got cellular, you know, just feel, just tune yourself with the person you're treating. And I walked in at that moment, and the thought came, like, if they have to close their eyes, what about blind women? Wouldn't it be amazing? And I literally made a U-turn, went to my computer, and I started searching. I Googled blind massage. And then, firstly, it was the affirmation, oh, it's possible. People in India are doing that. People in Cambodia are doing it. I was like, oh, okay, then it's possible.
We can do it.
We can do it. And that's how it started. So, looking at our demographics and how things work here, I thought, okay, who would be the perfect fit to help me, assist me along this path? And I thought of our amazing Dr. Ndume. I gave her a call. I said, Doctor, I've got this crazy idea, but I don't know. I'm looking for women who are blind or visually impaired, that we can give this training, because I know if one sense is taken away, another is heightened. So I'm sure they will be great massage therapists. And she said, my child, you have no idea how many women, because all that happens is they get shipped to the villages and life is over. There are no other programs to really assist them. I said, can you find me this woman? She said, yeah, just give me a couple of weeks, I'll come back to you. And within 2 weeks, she came back to me, and we had a group of 20 that we started training. And just as things align, and if it's for you, I had no idea what we were doing. We didn't have Braille books, nothing. You know, it was just like, let's do it, but I don't know how. And at the time, the lecturer that I had, the senior lecturer, I said to her, you know what? I've got a challenge for you. We're getting these ladies in a month's time. I don't know how we're going to teach them. And she said, oh, my eldest brother is blind. So she already knew how to work with people with visual impairment. And that was such a perfect fit as a first try. And through that pilot project, the first intake, that's when we realized that there are so many complex issues beyond just the practical. Where are they? Remember, we're bringing them back from the villages. Now, where are they going to stay? What are they going to eat? Family members stealing their grant money, not supporting them. You know, they would come here with turn-out shirts. They would get lost, things like that. So we realized with that first group that the issue is not the training, but it's an environment that is conducive to them, that we have to look at a place where they can stay during their training, that they can have their 3 meals a day, transportation is taken care of. And that, with that concept, we formalized it and went back to corporate and said, you know what, you sponsor this girl and take her through, but you take through all of these aspects of her training component that she can complete. And that is how the program was rolled out. Then we realized, oops, we've trained them, now where to? Because industry, again, is not receptive, just out of pure ignorance. It's not knowing. We also had to learn as we went. And we said, okay, come work here. And that's how they started working at the homestead.
And how many of them do you have that are currently working here now?
So right now we have a group of 8 visually impaired, and we have 4 sighted therapists. We peaked at about 22, but we had to, due to COVID and things like that, obviously the number dropped because we had affiliations with lodges that they are also just trying to find their feet, and hopefully things will change next year.
You spoke about a program for the visually impaired. Is this program, or was it offered for free, or did they have to pay for it?
The program was for free because we understood the economic conditions that most of them cannot pay. And that's why we offered specifically for the visually impaired. It was 100% free, and it was funded through the homestead. So you as a client coming to the homestead, part of your fee that you pay for a treatment goes and fund another girl with visual impairment in the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still on the visually impaired, I want to know, have you ever experienced a client that refused that a person who's visually impaired works on them?
Yes. And again, it's just lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. Little jokes like, "Oh, are they not going to touch me inappropriately? Like miss a point, or would they know what they are doing?" Or to the other side of people thinking that we are abusing them. You know, we're making them work and not paying. Or so we take it here as just people not knowing, because for us it was also a learning curve.
Yeah.
You know, to work with people with visual impairment. I remember when I asked the first employee with visual impairment, "But how am I going to pay you?" And she jokingly said, "In my bank account." And I thought, your bank? How would you know I paid you the right amount? But you learn, because it was then a cue like, no, I have voice on my phone that will alert me to say there is X amount. But also when you look at the ATMs, they've got braille on them. So these are all things that now I look at them with different eyes, because I understand what they are there for. I'm sure all of us, we hear the flickering of the traffic lights and not understanding why, but it's for people with visual impairment, so that they can also get their cue like, okay, now I can go, or now I need to stop.
New information. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I also didn't, but we learn as we go.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it now is that these women are able to sustain their families just like any other child in the homestead, in their homestead, you know, sending money back home because I'm working. And that is such a beauty to see. You know, we have Maggie here who's married.
Oh.
She got married, she has a baby, and you just think like, okay, because the program gave her dignity, she gave her back her worth, thinking that, oh, I can do anything, just like any other woman. Yeah, and that's what it does.
That's so true. Running a business can be a bit challenging. Were the times that you said, I'm giving up, or what keeps you pushing, you know, to say, I'm not giving up?
They do. When you look at the visually impaired ladies, in fact, my whole team, you know, when they are dedicated, day in and day out, they rock up on time, ready to work. So as much as the challenges come with any business, you know, sometimes you think it's not, what can be worse? You know, what can be worse than what they are going through? So that keeps me motivated, that keeps me pushing. Yeah, I would say that it really, when you want to give up, you think, okay, if you want to give up, what about them? Yeah.
True. And if you give up,
and then what happens to them?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand you.
Yeah.
What time do you guys operate? Because I'm sure the people that are watching would like to know.
Okay, we open at 9 until 6 o'clock daily. Sundays we close at 3, a little bit earlier, but also opening at 9. And we operate every day.
Every single day.
Yeah, every single day.
Maybe you answered this, but I just want to know, what sets Wellness Homestead apart from the other spas? Yeah. So what sets us really, truly apart, I know the focus is on visual impairment, but that's not it. What sets us apart is that we merge traditional rituals, of, as I explained, how indigenous tribes would do wellness. We merge that with the modern sort of methodologies. So when you come to the homestead, you'll have an African experience. Simple things like, you know how we eat in the Oshivambo culture. Before you eat, what happens? There's a ceremony of washing hands. Somebody will come with a bowl and we'll wash your hands. So those are the things that we try and incorporate. So if we're doing, for instance, a feet treatment, the ladies sit on the cushion on the floor
as traditionally, because that's a sign of respect. So we try and incorporate all of those things as if you are really in the village and somebody is tending to you. That is what sets us apart. So we bring the concept of African wellness right here in our home. Yeah.
As we near to the end, I just wanted you to talk to someone out there that wants to start a business, but they're doubting themselves. They're like, will I make it? So how would you advise that person? What would you tell that person?
Well,
You can even look into that camera and talk to them.
Well, I think first and foremost is really understanding what your business is. Business it's going to be challenging, but if you're doing something that you are copying from somebody, or you take somebody else's idea and try and do that as a business, that's when things don't start working out, because then it's not really from the heart. It's not really, there's this great saying that I love: if you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that's so true, because when challenges happen, they are tough, but they're not as tough as if you were doing something that doesn't spark any joy to you. So I think that is the foundation. Find that thing, and as crazy as it is, I mean, world over, who would have thought that an African themed and based spa would work? But really, that was something that I really, really wanted to explore, and I did that, and here we are 8 years later.
Exactly.
So that would be number one. And then secondly is follow the basis. Don't be in a rush. Follow the foundations of business. You know, make sure your paperwork is in order, because all of those things at the end will come back to haunt you if they're not. So out of everything, I think once you get those two foundations right, everything else will fall into place. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Tell me a success. I'm interested to know, any success story that you have with any of the ladies here.
Yeah, I think so. First, a success for Nomad itself,
Yes.
as the company. We were voted as the best day spa in Africa 2 years in 2 years in a row, 2015
Wow.
and 2016, and those are accolades that came from people voting, because
Yes.
it was just a different experience. Then the second, individually, I mean, we've trained over 900 ladies throughout our 8 years. It's a lot. And I had a lady calling me from Canada that now she's working there, and through this program she's done so well. You know, she's there in the world. Of course, like I said, it's a back door to open, and whatever steps they follow after is really, the program just gave them that push that is needed. We have one of our visually impaired ladies, Martha. She's now enrolling at the medical school to be a physiotherapist. So we're working really hard to make her or get her to the point where she's the first blind physiotherapist in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. Of course, again, we need to make sure that things are in place. Again, it's just a case of people not knowing, so we're trying to navigate how we can make that possible. To ladies who are now dentist assistants, who are theater nurses through this program. So those are really that pushes me to say, okay, let's continue making a difference.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's not about just, your life does not end, or your journey doesn't end working at the homestead. I think it's just a conduit for better. Yeah.
Oh, so many successful stories.
They many.
We don't have all. If we had all the time, you would tell about all of them.
Exactly.
So, what is your wish for Nomad Homestead, Wellness Homestead?
My wish is really to see Nomad Wellness Homestead in a resort out there in the world, so that more people can experience African wellness wherever they are, you know, like in the Maldives or Seychelles or anywhere in the world, really. That is my wish for here, and that we continue to train more women in the concept of African wellness and infiltrate this wellness world of ours, that black women are still in the minority. That's my wish.
All right. We wish you all the best and we hope that wish comes true. And where can we find you? Your social media, where are you located?
Yeah, so we are on social media, Wellness Homestead, Nomad Wellness Homestead on Instagram.
Yes.
Facebook, we Nomad African Spa. We have our website, nomadspa.com. And we are located, our physical flagship homestead is on the corner of Sanderberg and Jan Jonker Road in Windhoek.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miriam.
You
for
are
giving us this
welcome.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone really has been inspired.
Good. I'm glad.
Well, folks, that's all we had for you today on Africa Speaks. If you're a tourist that's in Namibia doing a safari, and after a long journey, you just want to relax, why not come to Nomad Wellness Homestead right here in Windhoek? Even if you're a Namibian, it's just around the corner, and come and treat yourself and have this authentic African experience. Remember to follow us on our socials, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Henok TV, follow us on Instagram, that's also Henok TV, or you can also follow our media crew at Nello Media. I'll be seeing you next time right here on Africa Speaks. From Message, goodbye.